This part is going up on New Year's Day, so Happy New Year everyone! Anyway, as Frieza is now on planet Namek, the early parts of his invasion would roughly go the same. Kale was with Nail and Guru at the time, and as far as we know, Nail never left Guru's side until Frieza showed up at where Guru and Nail were, so Kale would likely stay with Nail and Guru as well, even though she could sense the Namekians being killed. She has a high aversion to fighting, and she essentially convinced herself that she would be weak and worthless in a fight against anyone. So, she basically freaks herself out more in this situation and scares herself into thinking she'll be the next one to be attacked. Anyway, even if she has no desire to fight, she's like another bodyguard for Guru, so she doesn't intervene in the early parts of the Namek saga. By the time Bulma, Gohan, and Krillin arrive on Namek, the Frieza force has already attacked 3 villages and stole their Dragon Balls. Though, as Krillin and Gohan discuss with Bulma the evil energies they sensed, they see Vegeta's space pod coming, so they suppress their energy. Then once Vegeta lands, he realizes Frieza learned about his rebellion, so he resorts to using his scouter again so he can find out where the Frieza force currently is. Shortly after, Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma notice a pod like the one Vegeta came in landing as well. Meanwhile, Frieza, Zarbon, and Dodoria were in one of the Namekian villages as a soldier brings Frieza the 3-star Dragon Ball. Zarbon also gives Frieza the report that Qui has just landed in pursuit of Vegeta, and that he should be able to take the Saiyan Prince down. Regardless, Qui then takes off towards where he sends Vegeta on the scouter. In the meantime, 2 Frieza Force soldiers approach Gohan and Krillin, and after they destroy the heroes' ship, they are easily defeated by Gohan and Krillin. Then as Qui lands in front of Vegeta, the Saiyan reveals his hidden power, which causes Qui to offer to join Vegeta. Then once that doesn't work, he tries to trick him by saying Frieza is there. Vegeta still dodges his assault, and when Qui tries to flee, Vegeta uses the dirty fireworks to cause Qui to explode. The Frieza Force notices this right away, but Frieza doesn't think much of it, and has him go off to find the next Dragon Ball. Back with the heroes, they found a cave to take cover in just in time, so they aren't seen by Frieza and his army flying by. Since they realized that army was heading towards the next group of Namekians, Gohan and Krillin start island hopping to try and reach there as well. In the meantime, back on Earth, Goku gets a senzu bean from Yajirobe. After he recovers, he then goes and gets a spaceship from Dr. Brief as he heads off towards Namek, along with starting his training under increased gravity. Back on Namek, Frieza's forces arrive at Mori's village, with Krillin and Gohan arriving not long after. However, they would be shocked to see someone there with the Namekians that looks like another Saiyan. They still don't intervene right away, as Mori refuses to give them the Dragon Ball, so Frieza has Zarbon kill some of the Namekians. Which, shortly afterwards, some of the warrior Namekians arrive at Mori's village too. When Frieza has the soldiers try to attack the warrior Namekians, they are all easily defeated, and Mori then destroys the scouters, which angers Dodoria. Frieza then orders him not to kill Mori and tells Dodoria to kill the warriors first, which he does. Mori then relents and gives him the Dragon Ball, but he also tells Sala to take Cargo and Dende and run. When they try to flee, Cargo is killed by Frieza and Dodoria kills Mori. When Dodoria goes to try and kill Sala and Dende, this is when Gohan intervenes. He still knocks Dodoria out of the way while Krillin comes in and helps Dende get away, with Sala following him. Then, as Gohan flies away too, Frieza orders Dodoria to chase after them. While fleeing, Krillin gives Dende to Gohan and tells Sala to shield her eyes, as he then uses the solar flare against Dodoria, which, since he is blinded, they then hide from him and suppress their power. So Dodoria then blasts down to try and kill them, but they manage to fly out of the way without him noticing. Dodoria then leaves, but he is knocked out of the sky and into the water, which when he gets out, he sees that it is Vegeta who attacked him. Vegeta then crushes his scouter and reveals to Dodoria he learned how to sense energy, and when he tells Dodoria about his power being higher than his, this enrages Dodoria, so he tries to blast Vegeta, to no avail. Before he can kill Dodoria, he says if he's spared, he'll tell Vegeta a secret, which when he is let go, he tells Vegeta that planet Vegeta wasn't destroyed by a meteor, but by Frieza instead. Then when Dodoria tries to flee, Vegeta blasts him and kills him. Vegeta then tries to chase after the Earthlings, since Dodoria briefly mentioned them, but they quickly fly down and suppress their ki. After Vegeta can't find them and flies off to get a Dragon Ball, they return to the cave Bulma is in, which is when she tells him that Goku is on his way. Meanwhile, Vegeta goes to a Namekian village and demands a Dragon Ball, and after they refuse, the heroes start to notice the ki and Namekians disappearing again. While Vegeta finishes destroying the village and he steals the Dragon Ball, Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma explain to Dende and Sala who they are and why they are there. Which, this is when Sala and Dende offer to take them to see the Grand Elder. Since Dodoria hasn't returned, Frieza then sends Zarbon to look for the last 2 Dragon Balls, while he returns to his ship. Anyway, back with the heroes, Krillin, Dende, and Sala leave towards the Grand Elder, while Gohan stays with Bulma. While they are flying towards the Grand Elder, Vegeta starts heading in their direction, so they quickly hide again. However, to their surprise, He passes them by as he was flying towards Zarbon. While he and Zarbon begin fighting, Vegeta was gaining the advantage, but he was also distracted, so Krillin, Dende, and Sala take off again towards the Grand Elder. So, Zarbon then transforms, and he tells Vegeta that Frieza can transform as well. Anyway, he starts to beat Vegeta down, with him throwing the Saiyan Prince into a lake. He then goes back to his normal form and leaves, as Vegeta seemingly is either unconscious or dead. Though, once he leaves, Vegeta crawls out of the lake as he swears to get stronger. Meanwhile, back with Frieza, Zarbon reports that he killed Vegeta, though Apul then arrives and says he found a village that was destroyed but not by them. So, Frieza orders Zarbon to find Vegeta and hope he is alive, while he then orders Apul to call for the Ginyu Force to come to Namek, and to bring scouters with them. When Zarbon takes off, he does find Vegeta, so he takes him back to a healing pod on Frieza's ship. Meanwhile, Krillin, Dende, and Sala arrive at the Grand Elders, where Nail and Kale greet them. They already knew what was happening, so they let them in right away. Though, Krillin was shocked to see yet another Saiyan, which when Sala explains this is her daughter, Kale, and that she doesn't enjoy fighting like the evil Saiyans Krillin has met before. Regardless, they then go in and see Guru, which is when he thanks Krillin for helping save Dende and Sala from Dodoria. When Krillin tries to explain everything to Guru, he instead reads his mind to learn it, and then he gives Krillin the Dragon Ball, but he also reveals that his life will end in a couple of days. He then unlocks Krillin's potential, and he mentions bringing Gohan the next time to get his potential unlocked, which he would explain to Kale that Gohan is also a Saiyan that doesn't like to fight, which makes her curious. Anyway, he then flies back towards Bulma and Gohan, while in the meantime, Gohan heads off towards the Dragon Ball Vegeta left behind. Speaking of Vegeta, he wakes up and blasts his way out of the pod, as he kills Apul in the process. He then causes a diversion to make Frieza and Zarbon think he left, while he goes after the Dragon Balls. As Gohan takes Vegeta's Dragon Ball, Vegeta takes Frieza's and throws them, before flying out in the chaos. He then notices Krillin flying by as he retrieves the Dragon Balls, so he chases after them. The Zarbon finds and chases Vegeta, so as Vegeta lands in front of Krillin, Zarbon lands behind Vegeta. Even when Zarbon transforms this time, Vegeta has the advantage, and when he punches Zarbon through the chest, he tries to beg for mercy. Vegeta doesn't take this offer and blasts him through the chest, finally killing Zarbon. He then steals the Dragon Ball from Krillin and Bulma, as he then takes off. Vegeta then almost runs into Gohan, and even though he tries to hide, Vegeta eventually finds him. He then knees Gohan in the stomach and tells him to tell Goku that he will come back and kill them, before taking off. As Gohan returns to the others and they move to hide somewhere else, Vegeta discovers he was tricked by Gohan, and flies back towards where he's seen them earlier. Though since he can't find them, he just decides to wait them out, since he has the rest of the Dragon Balls. During these 4 days of waiting, Krillin starts taking Gohan to the Grand Elder to get his potential unlocked, though while they are heading there, Vegeta flies after them and catches up to them, though Krillin holds him off so Gohan can get to Guru. Though Vegeta gets past Krillin, and he flies to the Grand Elder's house as well, while Gohan gets his potential unlocked. Though when Nail tries to get Vegeta to leave, he sees Kale, which he is shocked to see another Saiyan alive. He doesn't have time to think about that though, as Dende walks out warning them of someone coming. Vegeta then realizes it is the Ginyu Force, as he explains to the heroes who the Ginyu Force is. The heroes briefly team up with Vegeta and they head off as the Ginyu Force lands, but before Krillin leaves, he asks Kale, "Don't you want to avenge the Namekians? They'll have died in vain if you don't help us." Kale at this time has convinced herself she is useless. She also doesn't want to fight, and she doesn't want revenge. She just wants to be woken up from this nightmare she was thrust into. Guru would see the logic behind Krillin's words though, so he tries to get Kale and Nail to go with them. Regardless, after getting their orders from Frieza, the Ginyu Force chases after Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin as he lands in front of them. When Vegeta tries to throw a Dragon Ball, Birder catches it, and when Krillin tries to destroy one, Goldo stops time and takes it. Ginyu then takes the Dragon Balls to Frieza while the rest play rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to fight the heroes, which Recoome gets to fight Vegeta, while Goldo gets to fight Gohan and Krillin. As Goldo starts to fight them, his time stopping wasn't too effective, so he must resort to using his telekinesis to hold them in place. He tries to impale them with a tree, but before he can, Vegeta slices his head off and blasts his head since Goldo was still alive even when headless. Afterwards, Vegeta starts fighting with Recoome, and he seems to have the advantage at first, though after Vegeta blasts him and Recoome comes out with his armor destroyed, he decides to get serious. This time, Recoome starts speeding down Vegeta, and even when he tries to blast Recoome again, it doesn't do much to him. Meanwhile, back with Guru, he would have been paying attention to the fight and noticed the heroes were losing. He would also realize that Gohan and Krillin wouldn't be able to fight Recoome, and Nail isn't going to leave his side. So, he suggests to Kale that she goes and helps them out. Of course, she was reluctant to go, but she still has no desire to fight. Sala might be able to help convince her here though, since she knows Kale has an immense power deep down. If she doesn't try to use it, more Namekians might die, potentially even Nail and Guru eventually, and maybe even Sala, along with the nature of Namek she loves potentially being destroyed too. Guru also helps encourage her to go in a much more gentle and paternal way, by unlocking her potential to try and help her not feel as useless, since, by unlocking the power deep within her, it would help show her she isn't as weak and useless as she thinks she is. So even though she doesn't completely want to leave, Kale then flies off to help the Earthlings and Vegeta. I figured this would be a good time to mention how strong I have Kale's power written as. Since she didn't train much, I had her base power of 4,000, but when angry it fluctuates to 44,000. Since Broly's was multiplied by almost 11 times when angry, since as a child his power went from 920 to 10,000. Then for the potential unlock, Krillin's power went from 1,870 to 13,000, which is roughly a 7 times multiplier. So, if given Kale a 7 times multiplier, her power goes from 4,000 to 28,000 initially, and it would fluctuate to 308,000 when angry. Back with the heroes, Recoome was going to finish Vegeta off with the Recoome Eraser Gun, but this is when Kale arrives. Before Krillin and Gohan can jump in to save Vegeta like they normally did, Kale briefly panics when she sees that Vegeta is about to die. Even if he is evil, the thought of any of her allies dying worries her, so she jumps in between Vegeta and Recoome's blast. It seems futile at first, but her power slowly begins to rise from 28,000 as she gets angrier. Eventually, her power surpasses Recoome's, so her beam sends his back too, with both hitting into Recoome. They explode when they hit him, causing his face and body to be badly burnt, and it causes him to feel actual pain. Her power then drops back to 28,000, so Jace, Birder, and Recoome just think it's a fluke that a near Saiyan was able to damage Recoome that much. This even shocks Vegeta that this weakling of a Saiyan has managed to harm Recoome in a way he couldn't. Meanwhile, back with Captain Ginyu, he gives Frieza all the Dragon Balls, but when they can't summon the dragon, Frieza leaves Ginyu to guard the balls while he heads off towards the Grand Elder and Nail. Recoome, now angered, starts to beat down on Kale, but she doesn't stand a chance at her current level of power. Gohan and Krillin would realize she needs help, so they jump in too, but even then, they don't stand much of a chance. Vegeta's shock would have worn off by now, as he drops back into the hopeless pessimism that they're all doomed once he noticed Kale's power dropped. They were getting beaten down, as her timid nature was getting the best of her, since she was also thinking she was worthless. When she tried to fight back, her punches ended up being meek, so Nail would eventually speak telepathically to her, telling her to remember her training. He has seen some of the potential she has, she just must try and harness it. If she doesn't, they could all die, and he would ask her if she could be able to live with the guilt of essentially doing nothing. He would also tell her to look at the damage she just caused to Recoome. None of the others there have been able to harm him that much. This speech would motivate her somewhat, as the thought of all her friends and family dying was hard to anger her a little. Also, she would see the reasoning behind his words of looking at what her power can do, as she managed to damage Recoome more than the others. Regardless, she isn't fully enraged though, so her power wouldn't be anywhere near its max. Her power would probably be around 84,000 from the little bits of anger she has currently. During this time, Goku would arrive on Namek, as he is confused to see who the Saiyan fighting with Gohan and Krillin is. Vegeta would then have to fill him in on who the Saiyan is, even though he doesn't know much about her. He would also fill him in on who the people they are fighting are, as Kale and the others start to gain the advantage. Eventually, she would take Recoome out in one hit, much like what Goku did to him. Since Recoome was now knocked unconscious, and Jace and Birder were in a brief state of shock, Goku gives Senzu Beans to Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta. Kale wasn't really that damaged, so she didn't need one right now. Anyway, after they snap out of their state of shock, Jace and Birder would try to team up on Kale, so this is when Goku would step in to fight too. Goku would be beating down Birder, while Kale would be beating down Jace. Since it is a 2-on-2 this time, when Birder is knocked unconscious by Goku, Jace can't escape, so when they fight Jace together, he's swiftly knocked unconscious as well. Vegeta then flies in and kills Birder, then he kills Jace, and lastly, he blasts Recoome, killing him as well. Goku tries to berate him for this, which his softness angers Vegeta, but Kale is more up on Goku's side in this, as she wouldn't want to take the life of anyone, no matter how evil. Even without Jace being able to warn Captain Ginyu, he would likely check his scouter and notice that the Ginyu force is dead. So, Ginyu heads towards the battlefield and lands in front of them, while Goku sends Gohan and Krillin away to find the Dragon Balls. However, as Ginyu prepares to fight the Saiyans, Vegeta takes off as per usual, leaving Goku and Kale behind to fight Ginyu. With Kale being even more enraged now about Vegeta killing the defenseless and leaving, her power would have risen to about 140,000. So, as they fight Ginyu together, Goku likely wouldn't have to resort to using the Kaioken against him. Together they would be beating the captain down, as Ginyu mentions he was waiting for someone stronger than him to appear. Meanwhile, with Guru, he and Nail would sense Frieza getting closer, so he would unlock the potential of both Dende and Sala, which, since Sala would have grown up on planet Vegeta, but she was likely forced to train there, and she would have also trained with Kale a little on Namek. I put her power at about 6,000, so her power level goes up to roughly 42,000, which is equal to Nail's power level. Regardless, she and Dende take off, as Frieza arrives and tries to confront Guru, though Nail gets in the way. As Nail leads Frieza away from Guru, they begin to fight, with it going basically the exact same, as Frieza rips off one of his arms. Back with Captain Ginyu, Goku, and Kale. The captain purposely injures himself as he then switches bodies with Kale, so she seemingly had the higher power level. He can't tap into her anger or hidden power though, so in her body he would only have a power of about 7,200, though it would rise slightly as he gets more used to fighting in her body. As Kale is shocked about what happened, Ginyu starts fighting with Goku, but he would easily be losing here. So he would start to think if what the scouter said about Kale's power was a malfunction, as he was getting decimated. Eventually, since Ginyu was getting to the point where he could no longer fight, Goku landed on the ground and started to talk with Ginyu. He would likely try to spare the captain, but he also lets his guard down in the moment, so Ginyu manages to switch bodies with him. So, Ginyu is now in Goku's body, Goku is in Kale's body, and Kale is in Ginyu's body. In the meantime, Gohan and Krillin go and get the Dragon Radar from Bulma, while Vegeta arrives at Frieza's empty ship. Gohan and Krillin then arrive while Vegeta is inside and they try to summon the dragon, to no avail. However, Ginyu then arrives in Goku's body, which they believe it is Goku at first, though, as Gohan and Krillin fight with Captain Ginyu, both Kale and Goku arrive, and as Ginyu gets desperate, he sets his sights on Kale's body again. When Ginyu tries to switch this time, Goku would allow it, since this gets him his body back. Vegeta then joins the fight and starts to beat down Ginyu in Kale's body, since he was disappointed they hadn't killed him yet. But when he goes to finish off Ginyu, he tries to switch bodies with Vegeta, but Kale jumps in the way, so she gets her body back. Then, as Ginyu once again tries to switch bodies with Vegeta, the injured Goku throws a frog in the way, so Ginyu switches bodies with it. Afterwards, Goku stops him from killing the frog, as Vegeta has him take Goku inside and they put him in a healing pod. Kale was pretty beaten up too, but not as bad as Goku. Also, she wasn't trusting of Vegeta since he killed Namekians too, so she didn't allow him to place her in a healing pod. She was mainly just putting up with Vegeta at the time since he was an ally of hers, at least for now, which, as Goku begins to heal, Vegeta goes to find battle armor for Gohan, Krillin, and Kale.